Imagine the world's largest oil customer, China, quietly slams the door on American crude. No big announcement, no dramatic press conference, just cut off. Now, picture Donald Trump waking up to that headline and losing his mind. What just happened? Why did U.S. oil exports to China crash to nearly zero in mid-2025? And more importantly, why does this matter to you? Because what's playing out right now might be the biggest reshuffle of global energy power since the invention of the petrodollar, and it could decide whether America keeps its energy throne or loses it for good. Trump freaks out as world's largest oil market just shut the door on America. No, this isn't some exaggerated political drama. This is real. Right now, a quiet but calculated disruption is shaking the pillars of America's oil dominance. By July 2025, U.S. crude shipments to China, once a vital export pipeline, vanished, practically overnight. This isn't about some temporary supply chain glitch. It's a strategic rerouting of the world's oil map, triggered by a ripple in U.S.-China trade tensions. A deliberate shift that's undermining the petrodollar, reshaping alliances, and testing how much influence Washington still holds in the global energy game. So, how did it all unfold? Let's rewind to early 2025. The unraveling began in February when China announced a 10% tariff on U.S. crude imports. At first, it didn't cause panic. But by July, the numbers told a stark story. U.S. oil exports to China dropped from around 160,000 barrels per day to near zero. The stage? China's enormous refining sector, home to some of the largest import terminals on Earth. The players? America's Gulf Coast producers, who suddenly found themselves locked out of the biggest customer on the planet. And unlike the public drama of past trade wars, this time it was eerily silent. No tweets, no bold pressers, just data and missing barrels. The dominoes fell fast. February 2025. The Trump administration increases pressure on China, criticizing its ongoing deals with sanctioned oil producers like Iran and Russia. In response, China slaps a 10% retaliatory tariff on American crude. Chinese refiners, especially the privately owned teapot ones, start pulling back. Why? Because in the oil business, price plus risk equals deal breaker. Even though U.S. crude was being sold at discounts, Chinese buyers wanted predictability and political insulation. Behind the scenes, tankers originally headed for Chinese ports get rerouted. By May, shipping manifests and customs records confirm it. U.S. crude shipments to China drop like a stone. In their place, Russian barrels flowing through shadow fleets, Saudi oil secured via long-term supply packs, and even UAE and Iranian supplies, increasingly priced not in dollars, but in yuan. No big press conferences, no flags waving, just a stealthy remapping of energy flows. That's oil diplomacy. Silent, calculated, ruthless. Let's break it down. China's motivations, strategic flexibility. The tariff gave them a perfect excuse to diversify away from U.S. suppliers. Energy security. Lock in long-term deals with non-U.S. players who aren't bound by Washington's politics. Currency warfare. By pricing more deals in yuan, China chips away at the petrodollar system, challenging a decades-long financial order. On the U.S. side, Trump's White House doubled down on tariffs, especially targeting countries that purchased oil from sanctioned nations like Iran and Russia. The U.S. warned allies, if you buy dirty oil, there will be consequences. To Beijing, that wasn't diplomacy, that was coercion. So they pushed back, economically, not militarily, by simply choosing to stop buying American oil. This wasn't just a slap, it was a gut punch to the American oil industry. Immediate effects. U.S. oil producers lost their #1 customer. Prices dropped, not because of oversupply, but because of a collapsed buyer base. The Gulf Coast export terminals? Backlogged. Idle tankers, unused capacity, deeper fallout. China redrew the oil supply map, locking in multi-year deals with non-U.S. suppliers, most of which now settle in yuan. That means less global demand for the U.S. dollar and more power for China's currency. The concept of American energy dominance? Shaky. Because dominance means control. And when you can't even choose your customers, that control vanishes. Trump, according to insiders, was furious. Not just because of the lost revenue, but because the move made his administration's sanctions look toothless. U.S. officials threatened more tariffs, not just on China, but on any refiner caught buying Iranian or Russian oil. China's reply? Straight from their foreign ministry. Coercion will not achieve anything. We will defend sovereignty. Meanwhile, China ramped up use of dark fleets, unregistered ships operating without GPS or transponders. These tankers slipped through sanctions to deliver Iranian oil off the books. Teapot refineries, China's shadowy independent operators, played a key role. They operate outside the dollar-based system, making them almost immune to American financial pressure. Back in the US, even as oil production stayed high, prices slid. It's a paradox. Too much oil, not enough buyers. As of August 2025, nothing has reversed. China is still not buying US crude. Most new contracts? In yuan. Chinese oil imports? Stable, just coming from other sources. So what happens next? Here's what we're watching. American producers will need new markets, Europe, India, Latin America, but competition is fierce. China's demand is plateauing. Between slowing economic growth and massive EV adoption, their need for crude is no longer infinite. Petrodollar erosion continues. As more countries agree to trade oil in non-dollar currencies, U.S. financial influence could diminish sharply. New energy alliances will rise. Think BRICS oil pacts, yuan-based clearinghouses, and even blockchain-based energy settlement networks. The game has changed. It's no longer about who pumps the most. It's about who gets paid, in what currency, and under which rules. So let's bring it all together. China, the world's largest oil importer, shut the door on U.S. crude. That decision didn't just hurt American producers, it threatens the future of the petrodollar, upends global supply chains, and sends a clear message. Alliances now matter more than output, and currency is becoming as critical as crude. What does this mean for America's energy future? Can it claw back control, or are we seeing the beginning of a new world energy order? Drop a comment below. What's your take? If this breakdown helped make sense of what's unfolding, hit subscribe, because this isn't just about oil. It's about power, money, and the future of global leadership, and we're covering it every week.